Well, we got some details on the new basketball league that is coming that is funded by a public investment group from Saudi Arabia. Did a video yesterday. Nika Agumake, she signed what is believed to be a pretty good sizable deal. No figures have come out on it as of yet. By the way, she's the WNBA PA Players Union president. And yeah, it is in here that this was done partially as a tactic in the direction of the WNBA.
The basketball universe has just detonated. Stars in the WNBA are receiving multi-million-dollar paychecks from Project B. Actually, Caitlin Clark right now holds a proposal that could render her richer than most NBA stars. We're talking about building lasting family fortunes from just one overseas campaign. The entire sports world is losing its mind over the cash tied to Caitlin's reputation since Saudi Arabia's Project B showed up lately and cut an open-ended check. Frankly, this represents the WNBA's worst possible scenario ever. So what's your take? Should Caitlin stick with the WNBA or grab the cash and bolt? Drop a comment and let me know right away. In the realm of athletics, the Middle East means business. They've snapped up entire soccer circuits. They've lured the
Project B, which is offering players serious money. It's not scandalous money, but it's not. It says here, it's offering players $2 million plus per year. Apparently, the star player contracts start at $2 million. Not the $200K that they had in Unrivaled, the $2 million. They are paying 10x.
Top talents in golf. Now they're eyeing basketball. Their vaults run deeper than the Grand Canyon. No exaggeration. And guess who's leading their shopping list? That's right, Caitlin Clark. She's the very athlete who got even armchair enthusiasts truly invested in women's hoops, jammed stadiums to capacity, and overwhelmed broadcast services. Over there, Project B is deadly serious. Figures from $50 million up to as much as $100 million are circulating in reports. Whispers even swirl around $1 billion pact. Yep, you got it, $1 billion, starting with a big B. At this point, it hardly matters if it's all factual or just press frenzy. The point comes through loud and clear. They're ready to shell out anything necessary to land Caitlin because they crave her presence. The WNBA has to be suffering major anxiety attacks currently. Caitlin's locked into a beginner's contract that compensates her barely a fraction of her real merit. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is essentially reversing an armored truck right up to her doorstep. But here's the catch. Cash isn't the sole consideration.
Officials have said the 66 players who they want for their league. So there's 66 players that they are targeting. I wonder who those 66 players could possibly be. The format calls for 6 teams of 11 women each will receive larger salaries than those currently offered by the WNBA. While the financial specifics haven't been disclosed, the potential of more lucrative compensation comes at an important moment for women's professional basketball. This article is already comical.
Dignity hangs in the balance. It's about valuation. It's about showing everyone the genuine worth of women's basketball once a deep-pocketed entity decides to invest. Let's level with each other for a second. The WNBA has shortchanged its top talents for ages. These women were told to hang in there, grasp the financial realities, and build their personal brands bit by bit. It took Caitlin Clark arriving on the scene, selling out coliseums, and shattering audience benchmarks for folks to finally acknowledge that women's basketball was always a goldmine. In plain terms, the league wouldn't foot the bill. Enter Project B, stepping in to say, look, we'll compensate her for her actual value. Honestly, the audacity is breathtaking. Think about it, and here's the kicker. Things get even more intriguing. Nika Agumike from the WNBA has already inked a deal. That's correct. The head of the WNBA Players Association in person. Folks, that's no accident. That's pure tactics. They've recruited the lady who knows all the athletes' wants, complaints, and exactly what it'd require to lure them away. It's like bringing on the enemy's commander to lead your forces. Truth be told, it's brilliantly shrewd. Speaker to my feed just lit up with news that Nika Agumike is the initial athlete confirmed for the fresh Project B circuit spanning Europe and Asia. Nika Agumike, head of the WNBPA amid CBA talks where the whole women's basketball scene is basically ablaze at this instant. The flames are everywhere. Nika gets revealed as the absolute pioneer athlete set to enter this setup, which isn't just an off-season venture, but one they've positioned as a direct challenger to the WNBA. It's full-court 5-on-5. ponder what the WNBA brings to the table. She's sat through countless negotiation rounds. She totally gets which athletes are unhappy with their current setups. She knows plenty who are exhausted from hustling overseas and sketchy setups just to scrape
My phone that says Neko Gumake becomes the first player known to join new Project B league in Europe and Asia. Neko Gumake, the president of the WNBPA, in the middle of these CBA negotiations where literally everything is on fire right now in the world of women's basketball. Everything is burning. Neka is announced as the very first player who will be joining this league that not only is a league that runs during the offseason, but they have marketed themselves as a league that will rival the WNBA. It's a 5v5 league.
by decently. She has the full scoop from top to bottom. Now she's working for the rival outfit. The WNBA has to be gripped by outright panic this minute. Project B isn't just tossing money haphazardly. Their backers feature ex-Facebook leaders, Skype's original creators, and WNBA title winners such as Elena Del Don and Candace Parker. This isn't some short-lived outfit doomed to collapse post-debut year. These people are all in. Having locked down $5 billion in capital, they plan to stage events across Asia, Europe, and Latin America, kicking off in November. $5 billion. For anyone lagging behind, let me say it again. $5 billion. The entire WNBA doesn't command even a sliver of that. Nowhere close. We're speaking of Middle Eastern wealth. The kind of fortune that lets them wake up Tuesday determined to acquire a league and have it bankrolled by Wednesday. The sort where the $100 million dangling for Caitlin Clark counts as merely another budget entry. Now let's zero in on what this means specifically for Caitlin. She's already the biggest name in women's hoops. Even with surpassing media buzz, sneaker deals, and sponsorships compared to many NBA pros, her WNBA salary looks downright insulting next to her actual caliber. Project B hands her the chance to finally earn her market rate. What the open economy pegs her at, not whatever an antiquated league framework insists she accept. And hold up a beat before loyalty talk kicks in. Doesn't commitment go both directions? After doling out starvation-level checks to these women for years, did the WNBA show true devotion? When athletes jetted overseas every summer to cover rent, did the league stand by them? Loyalty doesn't build dynastic riches or settle debts. Saudi Arabia, through one agreement, lets Caitlin secure her family's future forever. Yet critics are already swarming hard. They insist she stay domestic, that she owes the WNBA her career, and that taking foreign funds is wrong. But those same voices stayed mum when NBA stars inked pacts with Chinese apparel giants, or when the league bent over backward for overseas audiences. Yet with women's hoops suddenly facing real alternatives, suddenly ethics become a crisis. The double standards are mind-blowing. Here are a few myths about the Middle East's sports spending spree. They aren't aiming to bleed cash on this. They're pursuing economic diversification, boosting their global image, and staking claims as major global sports influencers. They've pulled in Cristiano Ronaldo and fellow stars to their soccer setup. They pulled it off in golf by launching LIV Golf and poaching the PGA's elite. Now they're targeting women's basketball since they spot its untapped promise. The WNBA couldn't have picked a more disastrous moment. They're in the thick of hashing out a fresh broadcast deal. Largely because of Caitlin, crowds have ballooned and momentum is building. Then right as the circuit desperately needs its prime talent locked in, Project B swoops and risks poaching them. It's like watching someone labor for hours on a beach fortress, only for a huge breaker to erase it all. Pause for a beat to cover the rest of the roster. Word has it Angel Reese, who's left a phenomenal mark on the league, is getting wooed too. Even mid-tier WNBA talents are fielding multi-million bids. This isn't zeroing in on icons anymore. Project B's strategy is to flood every player with unimaginable sums to dismantle the league outright. How do you even fight that? You don't, that's the answer. Absolutely not. The WNBA lacks access to Saudi petroleum riches. They can't snap their fingers and multiply salaries by 10. They're boxed in by income splits, actual finances, and years of skimping on growth. Meanwhile, Project B operates with endless backing, while the WNBA scrapes by on scraps. Folks are likening this to Diana Taurasi's 2015 WNBA hiatus, when she suited up in Russia for $1.5 million. That felt monumental then. Today, against Project B's scale, it's chump change. The WNBA's old grip on its athletes is crumbling fast as the landscape shifts dramatically. Weigh the perks. Project B dangles beyond the dollars. Year-round hoops translates to year-round income. No more grueling subpar gigs abroad. The era of suiting up in empty halls in Russia or Turkey is done. They're rolling out elite venues, international spotlight, and a shot to elevate women's basketball to a bona fide worldwide phenomenon. And that's truly magnetic, especially since the WNBA's entire operation has relied on athletes lacking alternatives. Sure, they could chase foreign paychecks, but that meant enduring months far from family, navigating iffy circuits, and praying the funds materialized. Project B delivers equivalent overseas backing, but backed by Saudi cash and U.S. entities. That's a total paradigm shift. Time to tackle the big unspoken issue. Some blast Saudi Arabia's human rights track record? Fair enough. But where's that fire when we probe the NBA's China ties or American firms raking in billions from iffy regimes? Where's the outrage then? Stars have long navigated tough calls on employers and venues. This one's no exception. What makes Project B's move wild is how they're strictly following the playbook. No one's coerced to jump ship. They're just extending superior deals. That's free market principles at their purest. After the WNBA preached for years that salaries reflect true demand, the demand's roaring now. Surprise, real rivalry spikes the payouts. Who saw that coming? The WNBA's go-to counter is deflection. They're stressing the value of US-based play and shared legacy building to downplay the danger. But deep down, they simply can't counter these bids. It's obvious they can't hang on compensation alone. So they're leaning on appeals to allegiance and fervor, a doomed play when generational fortunes are on the table. This decision might be less complicated than outsiders think, particularly for Caitlin. She's already owned the spotlight and sway in the WNBA. She embodies women's basketball already. What more proof does she owe stateside? Cashing in on Project B doesn't tarnish her story. Quite the opposite. It proves she knows her stature and demands it boldly. Plus, picture the ripple effect this sets. Every future women's hoops phenom learns options exist if Caitlin pulls it off. They don't have to settle for WNBA scraps. They can chase real pay abroad, not just supplemental scraps. It flips the power dynamic in women's basketball for good. My conspiracy side wonders if Project B zeroed in on the WNBA knowing its soft spots. The whole lineup's basically a solid pitch from bolting, thanks to chronic underpayment. It's like they'd bottled up tension for years, then Project B arrived and unleashed the flood. Imagine Caitlin saying yes, what then? The WNBA's top magnet vanishes. Their broadcast negotiations tank hard, crowds thin out, and ratings plummet. As teammates see Caitlin bank big, they push for parity or defect to Project B. In a couple seasons, the WNBA could shrink to a farm system for hopefuls chasing Project B tryouts. Sounds over the top, but it's totally plausible. See what Saudi-hosted mega fights did to boxing. See how Liv upended golf. When deep pockets crash the party, old guard circuits bleed influence fast. The WNBA faces those exact pressures. In a twist, the WNBA had ages to fix this mess. They could have equitably rewarded their elites. They could have split earnings more justly. They could have poured into expansion and promotion. Instead, they maintained the status quo, ensuring athletes had zero backups. Now backups exist, and they compensate at true value levels. Caitlin Clark sits smack in the middle of this fresh, unstoppable shakeup in hoops. Project B isn't messing around, and neither should you. This saga's barely begun, so if this tale blows your mind, smash that like and sign up for updates. Share in comments if you'd snag the cash and split. Catch you next time.